Well, good afternoon everybody, and a very warm welcome from the Isle of Wight, where I live on the south coast of the UK. Hopefully we're all up and running, you can hear me okay, and the music is quiet enough but pleasant. Let me know if you hate it, I'll turn it off. So today I'm coming from my kitchen, not my studio, because the weather has been quite iffy, shall we call it. It's been lots of heavy showers all day, so they keep coming and going, and my studio can get quite loud because I have a tin roof. As much as I love that tin roof, it keeps everything dry, it's very loud when it rains. So I'm in the kitchen today, and I've just got my camera pointing down at what I am going to be painting today. So this is, I was kind of thinking about, well, two things really. I've been thinking about using some tubes of paint instead of my normal pans, which I've had my pans for many years, and I just thought I'd give these a go. I bought some new, these are the new ones from here that way. These are the ones that were my dad's, and I inherited those. So I bought myself some new tubes and I thought I'd just give it a go, and I've so far you can see I've just done a little bit of the background and some skin colour as well, because I wanted to make sure that that was properly dry before I crack on with the rest of it. So I'll just go through the colours that I've got. I've just put a few out on here. I've got some raw umber, some cerulean blue, some indigo, which is that dark one up in the corner there, and that one's cobalt blue. I've got in the corner over here some crimson alizarin, some yellow ochre in the corner, and I used a combination of those to make the skin colour. And then over on this side I've got the cadmium yellow, which I mixed with a little bit of white, and it was the, let me just quickly look, the designer's gouache, which I used actually because I don't have any white watercolour to make the background. And then I've just got some burnt umber in there because I'm going to need some dark brown for one of the dogs. And I've been trying to think all week as to what I was going to paint, and I decided in the end, I was going to do blackcurrants because I picked my blackcurrants, froze them, and this morning I made jam with them, which is lovely. But I decided instead to go with something that I've been doing quite a lot of recently, and that is reading in bed in the afternoons. So just like a cosy afternoon, because our summer's been a bit a little bit on and off. We had a really hot spell about a month ago, and now we've had lots of cloud. So there's been a lot of snoozing around and doing, getting some work done and then going off for a bit of reading time. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put some water down across the back, so that this is going to be the headboard. And I'm going to mix up a little bit of the raw umber and a tiny bit of that rose alizarin rather. Let's see, no, I need a little bit of burnt umber in there just to bring the tone up a bit. So this is mimicking a sort of wood background here. Headboard. This is all very much artistic license because my actual headboard has got slats on it, but I didn't want to make it that detailed, so I've actually just given it a block colour. So tell me where you're coming from this afternoon, where you're watching, because I know when I've done live streams in the past, which I do every first Saturday of the month, that I've met people from all over the world, and it's been really fascinating to find out where people are watching from. So do leave me a comment and just give me a shout to let me know where you are and how you're doing. Okay. I'm just dropping a little bit of plain water into that just to give it a bit of texture. So I think what I might tackle next actually is, because I don't want to go too much into the next to the areas that I've just painted, because that needs to dry properly. So what I might do is I might do the skirt and then do some of the dogs. And because I'm going to do a sort of blue duvet cover and the pillows and also the cover of the book, which I'll tell you about in a minute, I think what I'll do is I'll do that skirt next. Oh, and I need to do my knees as well, don't I? Because I say my knees, it's not, it's just a kind of representation of somebody, really. So a bit of that alizarin. I've discovered that I really like just mixing a few things up, using a bit of mixed media, especially with coloured pencil and watercolour. I don't know how well you can. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see that texture, because that has come out quite nicely. It's got these kind of little ridges of blurred colour. Yeah, I like that. So I think I'll do a dog next. Now one dog is white, this one. This is Wally. He's white, but he is ever so slightly tinged down that sort of spine area. As he gets older, he gets slightly more tinged. And like I always say when I'm doing any of my arty tutorials, if you've got something that's white, the best way to show that it's white is by giving it a bit of a tone to show where the shades are. Because I always think if you leave something that's just white, it looks like you might have forgotten to paint it. There's his little brown nose. And I'll also darken up his paws a little bit. Not too much. And then go back down that spine area again just to give it a little bit more. And just across the top of his head, just a little bit more colour. And he also has really dark areas around his eyes too, so I'm going to get a very thin brush, very fine brush, and I'm going to go around his eyes. I reckon it's all those sleepless nights he has, thinking about chasing rabbits and eating food. Such a gannet. He would eat the food out of your hand if you gave him half a chance. And some ear fluff. But he's getting on a bit now, is our Wally, so he's he likes, his favourite hobby at the moment is sleeping. He likes to spend long, cosy afternoons just having a nap. That'll do for Walls. And then Maisie has got some dark areas around her eyes and then dark fluffy bits on her ears and a little sort of love heart shape on her back. So I'm going to put some plain water down in some areas where I know I'm going to want to blend a little bit, but not on that love heart area because that needs to be quite crisp. I think I might actually use a little bit of cadmium red as well because I want to make it, give it a little bit of an orange. A bit of an orange flavour. Oh, okay. Hello, JG. You can't hear me very well. I am gonna turn up my mic. Is that any better? Hopefully, I've just turned it up full whack. And, well, you ask if it's a self-portrait. Sort of. It's a sort of portrait of what I've been doing. A lot of reading on the bed. But, I don't know. I'm not sure that it particularly looks like me. Kind of looks like the dogs. So I'm just going around where I can remember her little bits of fluffy colour are. And then she's got this sort of love heart shape on her back. It's kind of like that. Ah, good, you can hear me, brilliant. Good news. So that, actually I need to take a little bit of that off because she's got quite a white end to her tail. And then using a little bit of that burnt umber, just around her eye. And she's got her eyes open because she's always watching what I'm up to. She's my little protector. Just in case she needs to step in and make sure I'm doing the right thing. Like particularly at dinner time. She needs to remind me we need to eat. I don't need reminding to eat, and I love eating. Right. So, the book that I was referring to, I have just read The Midnight Library. So, let me know if you've read that book and what you think of it. Actually, don't tell me what you think of it. Give me a number out of 10. If 10 was the best book you've ever read and 1 was the worst, and you've read The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, let me know what you thought, and I will give you my number review, so long as I remember, at the end of this session. I'm just going to do my skin on my legs, on her legs, because I forgot to do this earlier. Old knobbly knees here. There we go. So we had a lot of flooding last weekend, which culminated in us having a pollution leak where I go swimming. The name of the book is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, Haig. Yeah, so we had some lovely flooding because we had several big cloud bursts, and basically the drains on one half of our island couldn't cope with it, so they flushed loads of grey water and sewage out into the sea where I swim. So for quite a few days we couldn't swim over that side of the island, which was a bit of a shame. Nobody wants to swim in a place like that. But today was the first day back, and very pleasant it was too. Nice and clean, apart from lots of seaweed because it's been quite stormy, and loads of weed has washed up, which I always find a little bit freaky, swimming through that, because you think, ugh, what's that touching me? But so one of the days that we were decided, forced by the pollution, to go around to the other side of the island to swim over there, and that was amazing because it was quite shallow. There were some rocks around and some little areas of sort of not exactly kelp, seaweed sort of areas, and it meant I could go snorkeling properly. Pretty much, well, I went snorkeling once before off the coast of Australia in a place called Kelso Reef, but those are the days when I used to be really scared of being in the sea, and I was so freaked out by it I couldn't really enjoy it. However, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, I didn't see anything, groundbreaking. I didn't find any new species or anything like that, but just the being out there in the sea, bobbing about, and coming face to face with a few shoals of little fish, and I saw a guppy as well, so that was quite cool. So clear as well, and I haven't been there before, so the intention is now that we'll go back there in the coming weeks, and then of course we're going to be, well, won't be long before we start feeling the temperature dip again in the sea. And I need to put my big girl's pants on for that, I think, in a metaphorical sense, because I haven't swum in really cold sea before. Right, so I'm going to do a little bit of blue, give my little character some blue eyes. Whoa, Nelly. That's a bit of a blob. Okay, I'm going to zoom out again so that you can see what I've done. I've put the duvet cover in, just doing some crisscrossed lines to represent a sort of check pattern. Then I'm going to put in some book covers up on the top up here. Let's have some sort of orangey red one. Let's go that one, orangey red. Let's have a yellow one. This one's a bit of cadmium with a tiny little bit of that alizarin in. Oh, actually that's just going to blend into the background, isn't it? Let's not make that red. Let's darken that up a little bit. Leave that to dry for a moment. And excuse me, I'm going to go in with my socks. I'm going to choose a different colour. Go back to this little fella. I'm going to go for that mauve. I haven't used that one before. This is a brand new tube of paint. Let's see what it looks like. Woohoo! That is an excitable tube of paint. Okie dokie. Let's have a look. I think I'm going to just temper that a little bit with a little bit of the cobalt blue. Yeah, that's good. And I think what I'm going to do actually is just do the tips of the sock like that, maybe the heel. Thus. And then I'm going to use a bit of that colour as well for one of the books. Let's do that top one. Trying very hard not to bleed into the next one that I've just done. That'll do. Okay, so now I'm going to have a go at doing the main big book over here, which was a very, very dark blue. So I'm going in with the indigo and a little bit of that cerulean, bit of water. And then I think the text on the front cover was gold from memory. So this is just wet on dry paper. And then my signature move of dotting a little bit of water on to just give it some texture. And that I'm going to leave like that. But there's one more book I need to, well in fact there's two more books I need to attend to. This one first, and I think I might go back in for some orange again, but this time it's going to be a bit more yellowy orange. Just remove a little bit of that. Okay, how dry is that? So I'm going to, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in where the pillowcases are. I'm going to now give it some stripes. It's a bit wet before. my actual bedding has got some flowers on. It's quite a flowery duvet cover with a plain case. But I just thought I'm going to run out of time if I try and do all those little flowers. You'll be sitting watching me do flowers for several hours. So I thought checks would be better. So how is your summer going, everybody? I keep hearing about wildfires in various places across the world and makes me feel very sad for the animals and the people and the creatures that live there. So if you're living in an area like that, I am thinking of you. It's global warming, isn't it? We cannot escape it. Climate change. Right. I think I'm just going and do that last book now, and I'm going to do it blue. To contrast with everything else that's around it. So I sort of, when I was thinking about how to start this, I often think about my colour palette and what kind of overall feeling I want to have. And for this one I thought I'd like it to be overall bluish. So I've used quite a bit of blue here. I'm going to go in to do some hair and then just some shadows, and then I think I might do a bit of splatting. Hello Edric, how are you? And hello Alice's busy bag. Oh, you've had too much rain. Oh. Okay, brushes. I have got a, let's see if I can focus on that. Is it going to focus? Come on. Come on, camera. You can do it. No, it's not going to do it. Okay, so this is a Cotman Winsor & Newton size 2. And it has got a sort of tapered end to it. My favourite brush for the moment is this one. It's a Pro Art Proline size 8. And that's got a tapered end to it. Love that. Another one of my favourite brushes is also Proline, and the number is rubbed off, but I'm pretty sure that is a size 16. Again, tapered end. I like the tapered end ones. This one, who knows what that is? I used to use it for face painting quite a lot when I was doing that when my kids were little. This one is one I inherited from my dad, and again, it has nothing on it. And the last one, this one is a Daler Rowney number 4 round brush, graduate, but it's perfectly fine. Well, I have graduated, so I suppose it's all right for me to use that. Okay, hair. I think I'm going to go sort of reddy brown. So I don't want it to stand out massively, but I want it to stand out enough from that headboard. Let's see how that looks. That's all right. Yeah, that colour is actually quite similar to the red brown that you can get as a tube. So it just goes to show that you can actually mix things really easily. Like when I'm making black, for example, I use green and red together, or green, red and dark blue, because it makes for a much nicer black. It's much more three-dimensional and not so flat looking. A few eyebrows there going on. Okay, so I think what I'll do now is put in some shadows. And because I want the overall hue of this to be blue, guess what colour I'm going to use? Blue. You were right. So I'm going to have light coming from this side. So a little bit of shadow under there, under her belly, that side of the book, that side of the character, up there, and Mr. Woolly Dog. This music's really nice, calming. It's Epidemic Sound. I use Epidemic Sound for all my music, for the music for my videos, and I'm just running a playlist off of that. So one that I collected. A bit over here. That's a little bit too dark. Down this side, and also we're going to need some down this side of the pillow to show that it's 3D. Okay, right, I think I'm going to go Splatty-tastic next, because I like it, but I like it more with a bit of splat. What do you reckon? Okay, JG's asking some questions. Thank you very much for the questions. When you submit drawings or paintings for a book, does it have to be a certain size on a certain weight of paper, etc.? Okay, so the size will be determined by whatever size the book is. So you'd need to know, first of all, what size your book is to know what size you need to work to. And you might want to work the same size, or you might want to scale it up a bit if you've got lots of detail. So you might want to work at 1.5 or twice the size. And in terms of the paper, I think you can use anything really. I mean, I've seen people use, you know, obviously you could do stuff digitally, so it's not even on paper. I've seen there's, oh gosh, Lucy Cousins, who writes the Maisie Mouse books. She does proper full-on paintings that are on really thick paper that are absolutely huge, and then they have to photograph them for her books, I think. And the same with Oliver Jeffers. I think he does really big paintings. So really, as far as the art goes, just however you want to work. Yeah, so I hope that kind of answers the question. Okay, I'm going to make some blue. Shall I make blue or purple? I'm going to do a bit of both. I'm just going to make up some fairly watery colour. Just show you here. So this is the cerulean, I think. Is it cerulean? Cobalt. Yeah, cerulean. No, hang on. What's that one? No, that's the cerulean. This is the cobalt blue, beg your pardon. I've had my, because I use pans and, which are the little hard things in the paint tin. They don't come with, well, they do come with names, but when you've torn the paper off and put them in your tin, you lose track of which ones they are. So it's only by having tubes that I'm now beginning to really learn the names of the different colours. So you'll have to excuse me if I'm not explaining them very well. I'm going to take some of that. I want to get some of the splutters around the edge and not really in the middle. So I'm going to hide that and then use a trusty old finger. I think I need that a bit wetter. There we go. And I'm also going to use a bit of that mauve that we used before. Let's have a look. I just think that gives it loads of energy. And this is kind of, so this is what this reminds me of. Reading and, you know, being in a really calm, serene place, but all of your thoughts about whatever it is that you're reading are rushing around above you. Kind of all these images that you've got in your head from whatever it is that you're reading. I'm going to go in with some of that, the cadmium yellow as well, just to kind of give it a little bit of what we started with. If I can flick it. Flicking is not being so. I'm just getting yellow all over my tripod now, so that's not working quite as well. Let's see where we are. Just going to get rid of those little bits that have strayed in. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I'll just do a bit of a zoom out so you can see the entire thing. So when that has dried, what I'll do is I'll photograph it properly and put it up as a post onto my community tab. So have a look at that. I'll probably do that tomorrow because it'll need to dry overnight, I think. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. And I have remembered what I needed to say about the book that I'd read, the Midnight Library. I would give it a 5 out of 10. But don't let me sway you on that one, because really interesting concept. Well, I think it's, you know, if you're looking for a book to read, I think that's definitely worth a read. And I'd be very interested to know what you'd give it out of 10. In terms of the JG, you're asking about the headboard. There's a bit of shadow down here and a little bit down here, but I haven't put any on the rest of it because it's quite textured. So I think that gives that feeling of almost like a velvety sort of background, even though it's supposed to be wood. So I think I'm going to probably leave it at that. Don't forget that I bring out videos every Friday. The week before last was Draw a Fairy with me, which was I really enjoyed doing. I did that with coloured pencils. Last week, or yesterday in fact, it was all about tone. What is tone in terms of your creative writing? If you're writing a story, how do you pitch tone? If you're writing for a particular age, you know, how do you know how to what words to use and what phrases to use, and what's the difference between a writer's voice and a writer's tone. So that was quite an interesting one to do, and that was out yesterday. So you could always go and have a look at those if that's the sort of thing you are interested in. I bring out videos every Friday, but for the next couple of weeks I've got, in fact the next maybe 4 to 6 weeks, I have got quite a lot of book work that I'm going to be cracking on with. So I'm going to bring one out, I think, every other week. So hopefully I might do a little bit of vlogging just to kind of keep up with, you know, keep my hand in, sort of thing. Keep you abreast of what I'm doing. But my normal videos will be every other Friday. So catch me over there on YouTube, and hopefully I will see you next week. Of course, so there's also courses that I've done over on my website. If you have a look at my website, it's julesmarinerbooks.com. You'll see all of my courses there, and if you are one of my patrons on Patreon, you get that for £3, $3 I think it is actually. I'm really glad, really very grateful that you've joined me today. Hopefully there'll be some other people watching this back later, so if you are, hi to you too. JG, you're always one of the people that joins me, so I just want to say a massive hello and thank you to you, because it's nice to have conversations with you. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your Saturday morning. It's now 5:45 in the evening here, so I'm going to go and get some dinner on the go and finish up my cosy afternoon. So I'll say goodbye from the Isle of Wight for now, and I will see you very soon.